Now, Lara Elborno is a Palestinian-American international lawyer who co-hosts the weekly podcast, the Palestine Pod, and she joins us live from Paris. A very warm welcome to you. I'm sure you have been listening in to some of the comments that have been made there at the UN Security Council. What do you make of the international reaction to the ICJ ruling so far? Because there seems to be some extremely big, irreconcilable differences of opinion between the US and others of whether it actually calls for an immediate end to the violence.
Thank you for having me. So Israel and the U.S. have been engaged now for several days in a media frenzy, trying to spin doctor the ICJ order into some sort of a win for Israel, and also take the attention of the order off of the order by distracting with other stories like attempting to justify the cutting of funding for UNRWA. But I think we have to be very clear that the court's a failure, perhaps, to include an express order requiring Israel to halt its military assault does not make this a win for Israel. The court rejected every single one of Israel's legal arguments, and they ordered a number of provisional measures, including requiring Israel to ensure that its military, with immediate effect, ceases killing and wounding Palestinians and imposing on them conditions of life designed to bring about their destruction in whole or in part. And as was just mentioned, many legal scholars and experts, South Africa's foreign minister as well has said this, that it would essentially be impossible for Israel, if it were actually to try to respect the order, to do so without halting its military operations in and on Gaza. There's simply no way that you can provide aid to all of Gaza's 2.3 million people without ceasing the bombardment. There's simply no way that you can stop killing and wounding Palestinians without ceasing the bombardment. Now, of course, whether Israel actually wants to follow the order is a different question. And what we've seen in the last few days is that it simply has no interest in abiding by the order.
Yeah, exactly what Riyad Mansour, the Palestinian ambassador to the UN, suggested by saying that Israel defies international law, is in his words, open war. Israel is in open war with the United Nations. What does that say about the effectiveness of any kind of ruling by the ICJ or indeed possibly by the International Criminal Court going forward?
Well, I think we have to remind the viewers that, the order itself is incapable of making a difference merely by its being rendered. We have to keep in mind that the onus will always remain on people to organize, to mobilize, to build power in order to oblige Israel to comply with its international obligations and to essentially use what we have now in the form of the ICJ order as a tool in order to push forward the global movement calling for an immediate permanent ceasefire and eventually an end to Israel's siege of Gaza, an end to the occupation of Gaza and the West Bank, and a dismantlement of the settler colonial apartheid regime.
Lara Elborno, we'll have to leave it there, I'm afraid, but many thanks for sharing your thoughts and analysis.